Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? Adjman sent a job coming to you guys here today with another product opening. So, today we have in a booster box of Gatecrash that we're going to be opening on up. So, if you guys want to purchase a box of Gatecrash, there's a link down below where you guys can check that out and purchase one. But we are going to crack on into this. I already started the wrap around here, so I have an easier time opening it on up. But we are going to be rare hunting here, so we're going to take a look at what rares and what foils we get out of here. We're not really going to pay very much mind to the commons and uncommons. We just want to get through this box as quick as possible and see what we get. Alright, so we'll take a look at what we have here. Open this on up. We have our Gatecrash flyer with Aurelia and Gideon, which looks pretty awesome. And we have our packs here. So with the packs, I'm just going to be going down each column, top to bottom. So for you guys that are trying to map out the set or figure out a map for the set, I'm just going to be going based on the way the box is actually packed. So I'm going to push this off to the side and start off here. Alright, so our first rare is the Septural Primordial. Some of the names elude me, and I always pronounce them wrong, but we're not really going for pronunciations here. But we have the Primordial, and we have a foil Martial Glory, so that's kind of cool. And we have a Frog Lizard token, which is just great. So we have the Primordial as our first one. And we have that foil. I'm going to be putting the commons and uncommons off to the side. Alright. We have Soul Ransom as our rare here, so we get to take a creature, and our opponent can discard 2 cards and get back their creature, but if they do that, then we get to draw 2 cards. So it's a pretty useful card in both constructed and limited. So I actually really like that card. Alright, so let's see here. We have Sacred Foundry, so our first shock land of the box, and hopefully not the only one in here. I'd like to get a lot more shock lands out of this box, if possible, that is. But the shock lands are always nice. They enter in tapped unless you pay 2 life. Really useful. They also share a dual subtype as well, so it's a Mountain Plains. So cards that would affect it, like Farseek or something like that, would let you search for those dual lands. And we have Watery Grave, so another shock land here, providing blue or black to our mana pool. And we have a Spirit. So not bad already. It's pretty solid. We have Prime Speaker Zagana, so the legendary creature for Simic. She is really awesome. Enters in the battlefield with +1/+1 counters equal to the greatest power amongst creatures you control. And then you get to draw cards equal to her power whenever she's entering in, which is really awesome. I really like her for limited. She's a pretty powerful card. Let's see. We have Clan Defiance, so the removal card that lets you deal X amount of mana, and you're going to be paying X, 1 red and 1 green, and it's going to be able to deal damage to a creature with flying and or creature without flying and or your opponent. So we have Firemane Avenger, Flying Battalion, and he has Lightning Helix, or she, because I actually don't really know what's depicted in the art. And I haven't really paid attention much to the artwork, but with the Fire Main Avenger, it gets to Lightning Helix with its Battalion effect, which is really, really strong for limited. Alright. We have Fathom Mage, one of my favorite cards for limited. I played Simic in the pre-release, and Fathom Mage was really strong. With the Evolve, whenever you're putting +1/+1 counters on the Fathom Mage, you get to draw more cards, so it's always a nice enabler to draw more. And also with that enabler, it lets you draw into bigger creatures as well. And we have Merciless Eviction, so the Wrath ability letting you exile artifacts, or all creatures or all enchantments or all planeswalkers. So it gives you the option to get rid of one of the listed things. So we have High Priest of Penance, so whenever it's dealt damage, you may destroy target non-land permanent. Really, really huge for limited, especially if you get it late game. It's really strong. And a whole lot of nothing else. We have a 4/4 Angel. That's pretty cool. I actually really like that, especially with stuff like Geist of Saints Wrath. I'm always looking for 4/4 Angels, so that's always nice to get more of those. And then we have 2 or 3 packs left in the first column here. We'll see. Because I'm not counting how many packs I'm opening so far. We have Treasury Throne. So the Troll is really, really strong for limited as well. 4/4 for 6 Extort. Whenever it attacks, you get back a artifact, creature, or an enchantment to your hand. So that's always awesome. Prophetic Prism Foil. That's really sweet. I really love the artwork for it. And just having it nice and shiny is really cool. So another foil to add in there. And yep, this is the last pack of the first column. So not a horrible start so far. I mean, it's a pretty decent start. It looks like it's going to be a pretty fair box. 2 Shocks and Zagana is alright by my standards. So let's see. We have Godless Shrine, so another shock for us. So white or black to our mana pool. Really nice. Plain Swamp. So now let's start up the second column here. Alright. And we have 5 Alarm Fire, so whenever creatures you control deal combat damage, you get to put counters on the 5 Alarm Fire. Then you can remove 5 counters and deal 5 damage to target creature or player. It's funny because one of my friends was actually saying that he was going to try and build a deck around 5 Alarm Fire and assemble the legions and just troll people with that. Being able to create more tokens with haste each turn, swing in, build up counters, take the counters off, and deal damage. Alright. Boros Charm is pretty good. I haven't been paying attention to how many I pulled, but Boros Charm's been pretty uncommon to find as far as uncommons go. It's a harder to find uncommon. Then we have Biomass Mutation, so creatures you control become XX until the end of the turn. And we have a foil, Call of the Nightwing, so make a 1/1 and you get to Cipher. So you can cipher onto that 1/1 in order of how things work with resolution. And if that 1/1 deals flying damage and your opponent can't block it, you get to make more 1/1s, which is pretty nice. I wouldn't mind to get a foil Mind Grinder too. I actually really like that card. So we have Orzhov Charm, another Treasury Thrall. So like I explained before, it's good for limited. you get back things, and especially with Extort, they're expecting you to cast really cheap things so you can hit off all of your Extort triggers. And we have Gideon, Champion of Justice. So, Planeswalker for the box. Gideon's pretty strong overall. A lot of people don't like him just because he's not as good as Gideon Jura was, but I actually do like him for using him in aggro shells, not so much in control, but +1 lets you put counters on him equal to the amount of creatures target players controlling. 0 turns him into a creature with power equal to the loyalty counter. -15, exile all other permanents, which is really ridiculous. I like him. I mean, I collect Planeswalkers anyway, so even if he was really terrible and would never see play, I still collect them anyway. So, all the win for me. We have Luminate Primordial. So, Vigilance enters the battlefield for each opponent exile up to 1 target creature that player controls, and that player gains life equal to its power. EDH, if anything. It's a 7-cost card, so it's kind of awkward for limited. I mean, it's still playable, but 7 and 8-cost cards are always kind of awkward to play around, unless you have ramping elements. Alright. We have Mind Grind, so I love this card. It's essentially Mind Funeral with an X cost, so it's going to let you mill until your opponent hits X amount of lands from the top of their library, which is definitely really cool. I like it for Constructed as being a late game finisher for control. Alright. And we have Rebel Hulk, so power and toughness equal to the number of lands you control, then it has Blood Rush for 3, and the Blood Rush gives the attacking creature +X equal to the lands you control, which is pretty awesome. Nice combat trick to have. Alright, let's see here. We have Scar Goliath, so trample and another Blood Rush ability. He's a 9/9 for 8, but he has Blood Rush for 7, giving the attacking creature +9/+9. Not bad for limited. Blind Obedience, really love this card. Extort, and then artifacts and creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. So it's nice aggro v aggro, so they don't have blockers. We have a Foil Island, which I know a lot of people are probably going to ask, like, why the Return to Ravnica ones? It's because Gatecrash doesn't have its own basic land set. So Foil Land, always nice. I love the Ravnica art, so happy about that. And what, 3 more packs left in the second column? So we're taking our time. I mean, this is probably like the slowest I've went through a box on one of these unboxing videos. I've done plenty of them before. Ooze Flux, so being able to remove any amount of +1/+1 counters from the creatures you control for 2 mana, and then you get to make a creature with power and tough. Well, creature with yeah, power and toughness equal to the amount of counters that were removed. I was trying to think if it comes in with counters, but no, it's not. It's a fun card. I think it would be kind of like a fun kitchen table magic card to play with all the Undying creatures and Ooze Flux, just to be able to keep them around and stuff like that. So we have, let's see here, Consuming Aberration. So whenever your opponent is, or whenever you cast a spell, your opponent has to mill until they hit another land. So it's going to build it up, and its power and toughness are equal to the number of cards in your opponent's graveyards. And last card out of the, or last pack out of the second column. So we'll see what this pack has in store for us here. Another Orzhov Charm. And we have Legion Loyalist. Can't talk today. 1/1 for 1 red, haste battalion, and with the battalion, the attacking creatures are going to gain first strike and trample until the end of the turn, and they can't be blocked by tokens, which isn't all too bad. So I actually do like the Loyal Legionist, or the Legion Loyalist. I always say Loyal Legionist for some reason, but I actually do kind of like him. Alright, now let's jump and see what we have in the last section here. So hopefully more Boros Charms. I probably passed up 1 or 2 of them along the way because I wasn't really paying attention, but it is a card that is not really that common to find. Immortal Servitude, if we can get some focus there. There we go. Each creature, return each creature card with converted mana cost X from your graveyard to the battlefield. And oh yeah, Foil Mind Grind. Yeah, baby. Yes. Love that. Love that so much. So this is what I really wanted out of this. Didn't care for foil shocks, didn't care for foil anything else. Wanted a foil Mind Grind for constructed. That's awesome. I was actually telling people on the Facebook that I have for my channel that I was looking to collect foil Mind Grinds just because I like that card and I like Mill. Mill was probably the first archetype that I got into playing whenever I first started playing Magic, so it's always had like a soft spot with me. Whenever there's Mill in limited formats, I always try to utilize it. We have Assemble the Legions, so it's an enchantment for 5. At the beginning of your upkeep, you get to put a muster counter on it, and then you get to put 1/1s onto the battlefield that have haste that are equal to the amount of counters that are on it. So each turn you get more. Like I said, it's a fun kitchen table Magic card to play around the 5 Alarm Fire that I pulled earlier. We have Gruul Rage Beast, so 6/6 for 7. Whenever it enters, or whenever it or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, your creatures are going to fight another creature your opponent controls. Not entirely bad. Gruul has big things. Especially your post-combat main phase, that's definitely a trick that you can work out and be able to get rid of creatures. We have Stolen Identity, so put a token that's a copy of target artifact or creature, and then you get the cipher. And then we have a foil Warmind Infantry. And we have a Horde token. If I can get this open. Some of these are just, they don't want to be opened. Alright, let's see here. We have a Stomping Ground, so that's nice. What's that, 4 shocks out of this box? Something like that. So Stomping Ground's pretty nice. Adds red or green to our mana pool, and like all other shocks, enters in tapped unless you pay 2. 2 life, that is. And so not a bad box. Not very many mythics, but definitely things that I could use or even trade. Frontline Medic. Frontline Medic's actually really good. 3/3 for 3 Battalion. With Battalion, creatures you control are indestructible for the turn, and you can sack the Frontline Medic to counter target spell with X in its mana cost unless the controller is going to be paying 3 mana for it. So it's a nice way to counter like Sphinx's Revelation, Ariella's Fury, stuff like that. Then we have Undercity Plague, so I like this card for limited. It's a sorcery for 6. Makes target player lose 1 life, discard a card, then sacrifice a permanent, then you get the Cipher. And then we have a 1/1 Rat token, which is kind of cool. So with Undercity Plague, it's a fun card to play around, especially if you have the means of stalling out the game. against your opponent, and then you can just keep on ciphering off of like an unblockable creature or something like that. Even if they're sacrificing lands or something like that, they're still sacking things. It's getting you closer to a better board state. Boros Charm, like it. We have Simic Manipulator, a card that I played during the pre-release. So 0/1 for 3, evolve, and you can tap, remove one or more +1/+1 counters from him, and take control of a creature with power less than or equal to the counters that you remove that way. So you get to take your opponent's things permanently, which is pretty nice. I definitely liked Simic Manipulator. It was a really strong card for limited. And it let me take a lot of big things in my opponents. Skullcrack is another good card. I wasn't paying attention to those either, but that's definitely a useful card. We have Glaring Spotlight, so creatures your opponents control with hexproof can be the targets of spells and abilities as though they didn't have hexproof, and then 3 mana, sack it, and creatures you control gain hexproof until the end of the turn and are unblockable. So with the unblockable, in limited, this card is just really, really strong. It can go into any deck, but it's a solidified win condition when you strike alpha. And then we have a foil Dimir Keyrune, which is pretty nice. If anything, going into EDH decks of mine. So a couple more packs left and we'll wrap this up. And we have Aurelia's Fury, or Aurelia's Fury, however you want to pronounce it, doesn't really matter. But instant speed, X cost, and 1 red and 1 white, deals X amount of damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or players. Tap each creature that's dealt damage that way, and players dealt damage that way can't cast non-creature spells this turn. Anything cast before that time that's under Aurelia's Fury as far as the stack goes is still going to resolve. So it works essentially the same way as Silence did back in the day when Silence was still in Standard, but from that point on, if you're playing against sorcery speed spells and control, Aurelia's Fury is really nice to be able to cast during your opponent's upkeep and keep them from casting things. So really like this card. It's really, really strong. And we have Ogre Slumlord, so 3/3 for 5, and whenever another non-token creature dies, you can put a 1/1 black rat creature token onto the battlefield. Rats you control have Death Touch. I actually like this guy for block constructed in Return to Ravnica block, because you can play around Pack Rat and all the other rats that are available, which there aren't very many of them, but Pack Rat's really strong in block constructed, but Ogre Slumlord is just funny to have out there whenever you're killing your opponent's things with rats and stuff like that. I just think it's a really fun, creative way to play block constructed. And I do play a lot of it online. And let's see here. Last pack. Moment of Glory. Go big or go home. Skullcrack. Like it. And we have Wrecking Ogre, so not the most impressive card, but 3/3 for 5, Double Strike and Blood Rush, giving a creature +3/+3 and Double Strike for 5. And none of them foils, but we do have an ooze, so yay for oozes. So overall, pretty solid box, I think. 4 shocks, if I remember correctly. 4 shocks, Blind Obedience is good, Gideon is good. Prime Speaker is Zagana, and Frontline Medic is good. The Fury is obviously amazing. I like Soul Ransom as well. And my nice and shiny Mind Grind that is going to be used for constructed play. Just absolutely love this. Such an awesome foil and such an awesome card. Love Mill. So hopefully if you guys enjoyed this box opening, even though it kind of took me a little while, please be sure to like, favorite, and subscribe, and check out more Magic the Gathering videos. There's tons of it. There's always daily content going up on the channel, so it's definitely something to look out. ABU Games has Gatecrash boxes in stock, ready to be purchased, so there's a link down below where you guys can find it. Order up some boxes, pull all the awesome things, all the shocks, all the good stuff, and as always guys, until next time, have yourselves a wonderful, fun-filled Magic the Gathering day.